Why hello there. It is fall. I am so excited. So I thought I would do a video of books to read, movies to watch, things that I would recommend for fall. So I've got some stacks. So let's just dive right in. Books first. So starting with middle grade, we've got The Glass Witch by Lindsay Puckett. I read this year. So good. Character voice, immaculate. Just writing goals. So The Glass Witch by Lindsay Puckett is about this girl, Adelaide, and she moves to Cranberry Hollow. Her mother is going to leave her there, and so she's very miffed. And she is not a very talented witch, we shall say, and witchery runs in the family. So she's gonna go stay with her grandmother in Cranberry Hollow, and shenanigans ensue where a curse is enacted where her bones turn to glass, hence the Glass Witch. So there's a witch hunter. It is a time. I love it so much. Next up, we've got a classic, which is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. So another middle grade. This is also fairly short. So Coraline and her family move into this flat and have very eccentric neighbors, and she finds a door that leads to the other place. So it's like it's her world, but different, more whimsy, but also creepy. So she has her other mother, her other father, there's the other neighbors, and things go down. This was fairly scary as a kid. It's still kind of creepy as an adult. Yeah, there is a movie, you probably already know, but yes, I recommend Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I recently reread it this year. Up next, we have Hide and Seeker, which is by Daka Herman, which this one was pretty darn freaky for a middle grade. So this kid goes missing. So the main character, his best friend, goes missing, and it is like the day that his mother also dies, and so it is very, very hard for the poor main character. And a year later, the friend comes back, but he's messed up in the head, and so they're trying to figure out what happened to him. And there's a birthday party thrown, and I don't know how to say it, like something gets enacted, and a cursed game gets enacted of hide and seek. So there is like a nightmare realm, there's creepy monsters. This is definitely delves into grief. So this was a deep dive onto grief and confronting it and dealing with it. So very good, definitely scary for a middle grade. This one is upper middle grade and highly recommend. The final middle grade is a comic for Over the Garden Wall. This one is called Hollow Town, which I read. It is so flippin' cute, but also kind of creepy. It has the same whimsy and spook factor as the TV show, which I adore. I love the show. I will mention it later on. But yes, Over the Garden Wall is very, very autumnal. And so I definitely recommend Hollow Town. So the back says, when Greg loses a shoe, Wirt must find a way to replace it, and fast, if they want to avoid a repeat of the summer camp splinter incident. Luckily, it's not long before they stumble upon Hollowtown, a hamlet populated entirely by wooden doll people, where Wirt finds work as a babysitter for the enigmatic Mrs. Clements. However, the longer they stay in Hollowtown, the more it becomes clear that Hollowtown holds a sinister secret. So I definitely enjoyed this. Yeah, so this is issue 1. The artwork is so fun. The doll people are definitely creepy. Oh gosh, Greg is up to his antics, and Wirt is trying to salvage the situation as usual. So, Over the Garden Wall, Hollow Town. The only YA I have on here is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. So I finally read this. I enjoyed it. It is a YA slasher, as you can probably tell, and there is a clown and there is a cornfield. Some of the kills were unique and I enjoyed it. There was a bit of a twist with the whole romance subplot that I didn't think was set up too well. Like, I had that spoiled for me before, but so I was looking for it, and it still was a little out of the blue. But other than that, I enjoyed this for the slasher aspect. So for adult, I have Stolen Tongues, which originally was a creepypasta. This is by Felix Blackwell. So this is a full-on novel version. It is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the chapter 1, the prologue, is it a prologue or is it chapter 1? Prologue. With the parrot, oh my gosh. Hooked me for the whole ride. So good. There is also an audiobook that was really good, especially with the whole voices thing. So the audiobook was fun to have along with it. So if you don't know, I will read the back. A romantic cabin getaway doesn't go exactly as planned. High up in the windswept cliffs of Pale Peak, Faye and Felix celebrate their new engagement. But soon, a chorus of ghastly noises erupts from the nearby woods. The screams of animals, the cries of children, and the mad babble of 100 mournful voices. A dark figure looms in the window in the dead of night, whispering to Faye. As the weather turned deadly, Felix discovers that his terrified fiancée isn't mumbling in her sleep. She's whispering back. So the whole back and forth with the sleep talking was so good. Oh my gosh, I love Stolen Tongues. Then we have Rosemary's Baby, which is an older one. This one was a very quick read. It is almost exactly like the movie. I have not seen the TV show. I've only seen the classic movie, which I watched right after I read this, and there was only a couple little differences. So if you've seen the movie, you basically read the book. But basically, Rosemary and her husband Guy move into this new place that is very uppity, very upper class, and their neighbors are very helpful, especially when Rosemary becomes pregnant, and they are all in trying to help her have the healthiest baby ever. And like, if you know the twist, you know it, you know why. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so this is all about her feeling isolated, and as well as being like overbearing neighbors, and the twist. So Rosemary's Baby, you probably already know the twist, but I do recommend it. It was a quick read, it was good, I liked it. It is by Ira Levin. And the final adult prose novel is Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Basterica. This is a translated novel. Oh, okay, so this one is very heavy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so basically something went down so that humans could no longer eat animal meat and products. And so there is a designation of human that is raised to be meat and leather and other animal products. So yeah, it's dark. So he works at the slaughterhouse, and he is going in with talks with the tannery and all the different markets that are connected to the slaughterhouse. So one day, the people that deliver the head to be slain, they also deliver him a woman as his own personal, basically, property. And so it's this whole, it's very dark. So there is human cruelty, but there is also animal cruelty, so beware. But if you want to have a deep dive look into the meat industry, but with humans, tender is the flesh. It definitely made me feel feels, and yeah, it's what does it mean to be human? So tender is the flesh. I can't believe I forgot A Dowry of Blood. A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I do not own it yet, but it is fantabulous. It is a short novel about the brides and husband of Dracula. So it is it is poly, it is so good. The main character is the first bride of Dracula of this time period. So she is dying and he saves her, and there's this whole honeymoon period, and then of course he's like, I got another lady that might fit in. So it goes from there, and it is them all trying to put the pieces together that maybe this relationship with Dracula is not so healthy. We're great with each other, but with him, not so much. So, yes, A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So good. I have heard that there's going to be a sequel. So, and that there is a sequel short story, like epilogue. So I will be definitely reading those, but yes, A Dowry of Blood. On to some Western comics. The first one is Infidel by, I can never pronounce it, Pichetsoti and Campbell. So this is a very well done comic that dives into Islamophobia and xenophobia plus ghosts. So these people they've moved to the US, and all of the prejudice that is against them, plus they're in a haunted apartment on top of all of that. And so the artwork is stunning, and the ghosts are grotesque, and the colors are amazing. But yeah, I can't show too many of the ghost panels because they're not wearing much, if anything. But yeah, death and just a good look at Islamophobia in the States. So Infidel, highly recommend. The second one I just read this week, and that is called Witches. So this is volume 1. So it's Witches spelled Wytches. So in this version, witches are like a different species. So it's a little different take. But yeah, this is very creepy, very well done. I love the colors, I love the textures. Like, very cool. Great action panels, and I felt for these characters. Volume 2 has not come out yet, even though it's been like 8 years. But this does wrap up enough to still be satisfying. So it is about a girl who is and her family. They've moved to a new town on the edge of the woods, and she feels guilty about somebody she knows dying, and there are these shadowy creature thingies showing up in the woods that are coming for her, and it's her relationship with her father and her mother, and which is good stuff. Another Western-ish one is called Spa. So this is by Eric Svetoft. So this guy is actually a cartoonist, and this is a very interesting. So it's a very interesting look at the I can't remember the name of the industry. It's a spa. Let's see. It says, somewhere in Northern Europe, a 5-star spa and conference hotel caters to anyone who can afford it. But at every turn, things are amiss, especially for when the mold sets in. Perfect for fans of David Lynch or Junji Ito, this nightmarish debut graphic novel from Swedish cartoonist Erik Svetov doubles as both a work of modern post-horror as well as a satiric critique of the consumer society and the wellness industry. That's what's called, the wellness industry. Yeah, so I recommend Spa. There's some really cool creature designs in here. It is very surreal, but I enjoyed it. It is a quick read despite being so fat. There's not too much dialogue. A lot of it is just taking it in. So, Spa. So moving on to the actual Japanese manga, I have here 2 volumes, so the whole thing of the Gotanabe version of Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness. So this is 2 volumes. It is very good. I love his artwork. It's so detailed. I wish the pages were bigger. Like Antarctica. So if you don't know, At the Mountains of Madness it's a classic Ito. Not Ito, oh my gosh, Lovecraft. January 25th, 1931, an expedition team arrives at the campsite in Antarctica to find its crew of men and sled dogs strewn and dead. Some are hideously mangled as if in rage. Some have been dissected in a curious and cold-blooded manner. Some are missing, but a still more horrific sight is the star-shaped mound of snow nearby, for under its 5 points is a grave, and what lies beneath is not remotely human. So, cosmic horror and beautiful illustrations. I am so excited for the Innsmouth one that comes out in November. The Shadow over Innsmouth is being adapted by Gotanabe, so I'm excited for that. And yes, he's done quite a few. He also has The Hound and Other Stories that has been translated into English, but there's a couple more that haven't been, so I'm still, fingers crossed, hoping they translate it into English. My all-time favorite manga series is PTSD Radio. So these are the 3 omnibus volumes. So there are technically 6 in here, but oh gosh, it is so good. So I'll just read you the back. The cult horror hit from the creator of Fuon no Tane comes to print. An unseen hand tugs at your braid. You find an old sealed box with a tangled mess of dark hair inside. In the hallway, outside your room, a river of curls is slinking away, an ominous lump at its heart. It won't be long before you feel Ugushi-sama's fingers slithering across your scalp. Before it's too late, tune into PTSD Radio. So these are phenomenal. The art style is definitely creepy, and the chapters are yeah, so the chapters are very short. They are basically radio stations that you flip between. So you're flipping between storylines, between stations. So a lot of these are only like 5 or 6 pages long per chapter, but each little chapter is a scare. And so it's all about this spurned hair god of this area in Japan, and these different storylines are throughout history. So some of them are modern, some of them are like samurai era. It's just, oh, they're so good. The thing is, it doesn't conclude. So there are chapters in these ones where the artist and author, Masaki Nakayama, is explaining all the supernatural going-ons that are happening to him as he tries to write this series. So it gets a little meta, where it's like, how much are you pulling from your experience trying to write this? And are you just doing this just to make this more creepy? Or like, are these legit real experiences? I don't know, but it was creepy and I loved it. So PTSD Radio, all 3 omnibus, they are out now. So this is the entire thing that has been written, so it is complete as of today. Next we have some old school classics. So this is The Drifting Classroom by, is it Kazuo Omez? Yes, Kazuo Omez. So these are like from the 70s. So they have been released in these hardbound, beautiful editions. So, basically, a like elementary middle school gets transported one day to this apocalyptic wasteland, and they don't know if they're on a different planet, if they're like in the past, in the future, if like they're in the same spot that everything else has just disintegrated. They have no idea what's happened. And consequently, Lord of the Flies ensues. All of these children go through so much. There's plague, there is like mob mentality, mass hysteria, cults, everything in these volumes. So if you want to go down the deep dive of Lord of the Flies with a whole school, The Drifting Classroom by Kazuo Omez. I may actually reread it, so like this year. So we'll see. But it was a great read. Definitely on the darker, more depressing side, but it was great. And then we have #DRCL Midnight Children Volume 1, and this is by Shinichi Sakamoto, and this is a take on Dracula. So this artwork is gorgeous. I flippin' love this artwork. So like, it is about Dracula's ship has crash landed off of the coast of England, but in this version it has crash landed next to a hoity-toity English boarding school. So all of these kids are growing up to be like the next minister, like prime minister and all this stuff. So all these kids are very well off, except for Mina, who is the only girl at the all-boys school. So yeah, it's interesting. So her life is full of being bullied by these boys, and this is Lucy, which is actually Luke by day and Lucy by night when they are possessed by a female spirit. Kind of, I think. Not exactly sure. So, this is such a beautifully drawn manga. I'm excited for the next volume. Only volume 1 is out so far in English, so DRCL Midnight Children Volume 1. And then I have, of course, Tokyo Ghoul, if you want ghouls, which are basically a cross between a vampire and a zombie. So, ghouls can eat human, they only eat human flesh. They can't consume regular human food, but they can drink coffee. And so it is about this boy who goes on a date with a girl and ends up needing an organ transplant and gets ghoul organs. And so he is half ghoul, half human. And so it's trying to reconcile the two, keep his humanity, but also survive. So Tokyo Ghoul, I recommend. And the last two books are by, of course, Junji Ito. So the new one is Soichi. This is a short story collection, which I highly enjoyed. It is about Soichi, who is a kid who is always up to shenanigans. He has nails, like building nails, in his mouth all the time. He will spit them at people, and this is the shenanigans that he gets up to. I enjoyed it a lot. This one is more comedic horror for some of these, but yes, Soichi was fun. And if you want the classic Uzumaki, this one is less comedic, more cosmic horror. So this one is about a town that is consumed by spirals. So people become obsessed with spirals, terrified of spirals. Spirals manifest in the wind and the whirlpools and everything, and the whole town just spirals down into decline, and it is such a good book. So those are all of my books so far that I would recommend for fall spooky season. And then I will get on to a couple of movies and TV shows. All right, on to the movies and TV shows. So the first up is a classic. So this is Nosferatu, the silent film from 1922. So this is the original version of Dracula, where they tried to avoid copyright infringement by making it Count Orlok, but didn't quite work. So most of the copies were destroyed, but some went overseas, and so were saved, and so we still have Nosferatu. This is a Murnau movie, so highly recommend. This is a German expressionist movie with an excellent use of shadows. Yes. The other movie I would recommend, I don't own a physical copy of yet, but it is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is another silent film from the German expressionist film. This one has a twist, and it is very well done. I love the set designs. I love how they paint the lighting on the faces and on the sets and things like that. So The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a psychological horror where a man who is a somnambulist. So he is always sleeping except for when the doctor awakens him and sends him to do missions of evil. So the poor somnambulist, Cesare, or is it Caesar? I don't know how to pronounce it. I just read it. So yeah, you feel bad for him, but you know, things happen and then there's a twist. So definitely check out this horror classic, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Then we're moving on to the 30s, and I recommend Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. These two are some of my all-time favorite movies. So just, so good. So Frankenstein was 1931, Bride was 1935, and I tear up every time. I just love these movies so much. This is Boris Karloff, classic. The soundtrack for Bride of Frankenstein is actually on YouTube, so I listened to that in October. If you need something that is beautiful but melancholy to listen to, Bride of Frankenstein. Then we have the Mary Shelley version of Frankenstein with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro. So, yes, I really enjoy this version of Frankenstein. Yeah. what's her face is in here. Helena Bonham Carter is in here as well. So yes, this take on Frankenstein, I definitely enjoy. And back to vampires, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman. Highly recommend. It is so well done. Just the makeup and the costuming and the cinematography, everything. This one is just chef's kiss. And sticking with vampires, we got Interview with the Vampire, the adaptation with Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, and Tom Cruise. So classic, most people have already seen it, very good. I have not yet finished the TV show adaptation, but I love the movie. And the new one, Renfield, with Nicolas Cage. Oh my gosh, and Nicholas Hoult, just so good. So Renfield is in modern times and is going to an emotional support group about his terrible, terrible boss who has narcissism. Just so good. It is a horror comedy. Nicolas Cage eats the scenery. The set design is fabulous. The acting is hilarious. I am totally in love with Renfield. It plays homage to the Bela Lugosi Dracula excellently, as well as a bunch of others. So, Renfield. On to more ghosties. I would recommend The Conjuring 1 and 2. So these are, James Wan is the director of these. He nails it. The first one is my favorite. The second one's pretty good. The third one's alright. But yes, The Conjuring. So it is Ed and Lorraine Warren go into these houses to try and bust if these are actual hauntings, and then of course these ones, they're hauntings, act like actual ones, and so they have to try and save the families. So The Conjuring 1 and 2, highly recommend. Yeah, these ones are so good. Another haunting one, this one's my guilty pleasure, is A Haunting in Connecticut. So this one, the main character has cancer, and so he is getting closer to the Vale, and they move into a former morgue, like a funeral home. So they, so the hauntings are there, and it's like, is it reactions to the medication? Is it actual ghosts? And just A Haunting in Connecticut. I love it so much. Then if you want a more romantic one that's not super scary, I would do Crimson Peak. So this is Tom Hiddleston and Mia Wachowski? Not Wachowski. What the heck is your last name? Wasikowska. There we go. Mia Wasikowska. So it is a Guillermo del Toro movie. So his color palettes are immaculate. The acting is great. The story is more in the lines of like a Jane Eyre Gothic type of storyline. There are ghosts, but as she says, the ghosts are metaphors. And so I just love Crimson Peak. Yes, so excellent cast, good stuff. The music is also amazing. And onto TV series. If you want a children's one, we have Over the Garden Wall, which I only own in digital so far. I have not seen a physical copy released of Over the Garden Wall. It is about Wirt and Gregory. They are two brothers who are lost in the woods. They're in the unknown. And of course, Greg has a pet frog that he's trying to find a name for. And it is 12 episodes long, and it is their shenanigans, or is it 10? I think it's 12. I can't remember. But they are trying to find their way home. And throughout this whole thing, they are running into people, and there's music, and the animation is stellar. Elijah Wood is the voice of Wirt, the older brother. There are many great voice actors in here, including Tim Curry and what's the guy who's Doc Brown in Back to the Future? What's his face? But he's in there. Yeah, so excellent voice acting. There is a talking bluebird who is trying to help them get home. And so I highly recommend Over the Garden Wall if you want whimsy with spooky. So it's phenomenal. And an adult TV show I would recommend is Hannibal. So this is 3 seasons. I enjoyed all 3. The last one is more of the Red Dragon storyline. But yes, so it's Hugh Dancy, Lawrence Fishburne, Mads Mikkelsen, and yeah, it's just so good. So good. Look at these. Look at these. Oh. The music and sound design is so off-putting. I love it. The cinematography is phenomenal. The acting is superb. I just am head over heels with this show. I love Hannibal. I have seen Silence of the Lambs, and it is a classic, but I prefer the Mads Mikkelsen version. Yeah, so so good. So those are the books and movies and TV shows that I would recommend to consume this fall spooky season. So I know it's a lot, there's a ton in there, but I have read or watched all of these, so I have enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed. Stick around. I am vlogging my reading journey of this fall, what I am actually consuming. So I have already consumed like 6 different volumes of manga so since fall. So stick around, I'll see you around, and enjoy your spooky season.